All right.
Hello,
Hey.
everyone.
How's it going?
Yeah. Hopefully pretty
Great.
well.
Yeah, thanks.
Us too.
Yep.
Welcome to Improving Your Float Tank Center from Home, the Bathrobe Chronicles, Day 1.
We're in our home studio here, also known as our living room. So
Very professional home studio.
Yeah, shout out to our roommates for letting us record this in our house.
And also for drawing the sign behind us.
Yeah.
Thanks, roommates.
And so what's going on? What are we doing? What are we doing?
So, this is going to be part of a series. We're going to go live every weekday at noon. And hopefully just talk about some different things, both that we're doing and that we're hearing from around the industry, from centers that are, again, either deciding to work from home or forced to work from home, shut down, or just seeing a huge drop in attendance. And sharing what people are doing, both to make a little bit of income, to stave off some of the expenses, and just in general to keep working on your float center and improving your business, even though things are a little chaotic right now.
So we're going to try to talk about some stuff that we're doing while we're closed, and also help out as much as we can. So feel free to add comments or questions that you have so we can respond. And try to make it through, I guess. These are some crazy times, and
for sure.
And I think we're all feeling it, us as well. And so we're just trying to do something that is maybe helpful.
Yeah, and if there's one thing that seemed normal, it was probably looking at me in Ashcon bathrobe. So this should be sort of the anchor in your entire life, I feel like. So we do have some loose topics to talk about, but like Ashcon said, feel free to shoot off any questions. We're just around generally as a resource, and we'll be here. Our plan is to broadcast for around 20 minutes every day, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. And we're also doing, right after this, a Helm broadcast as well. That'll be a lot shorter, but we're going to be highlighting different little nooks and crannies of the Helm that you can edit to improve your Helm functionality and kind of work on your business that way. And that'll be going on live stream on the Helm Facebook page at 12:30 as well. Okay, was that all the preambles?
I think so. I mean, we'll figure it out. Tomorrow we'll have it way better.
Yeah, this is our first, day one, day one's always the roughest.
So today what we thought might be useful to talk about is, a lot of float centers that have either been making the decision to shut down or been required to shut down by whatever level of government. There's been kind of this movement that you probably know about for small businesses to be supported by the community, from people buying gift cards or, for us, just like credits to use later. And we've seen a lot of different float centers employing some different method of trying to create something for people to purchase and support them while they're temporarily shut down.
And that alone, just to say, is great too. There's separate from the whole float world, there's just this big movement in the small business world and people who are, even who don't own their small businesses, who really do want to support that. I guess people just understand that if you're a brick and mortar business and people aren't going outside, stuff is going to be challenging for you no matter what. So yeah, there's just this big movement to support small business, especially buying gift cards. So yeah, feeding into that on the float side is great too.
So we thought we'd start by talking about what we decided to do and just kind of our own efforts to try to create something for people who want to support us, or our customers who want to help us kind of keep the lights on, or I guess keep the lights off and still be able to turn the lights back on later. What they can do to help us out. And then we'll also talk about maybe some of the things that other float centers have done that we've been seeing out there.
For sure. So, I guess to kick things off, the first thing we did was, just sort of burn all of my clothes and go stand naked in front of the float center and yell at people as they wandered by.
That didn't work, so we crossed that one off the list.
Good idea. Yeah. Solid implementation.
Yeah, it was worth a try.
It's tough times. Not all of your ideas go places.
So then we started using the internet.
Right. Yeah. Solid idea. Even better, one might say.
So we wanted to accomplish a couple things when we were brainstorming what to do as part of this. We wanted to do some sort of discount, basically. We didn't want to just say hey, buy a float because it'll help us out. We wanted to do something to maybe fuel that a little bit. So some amount of money off. And we also didn't want to make it such a huge amount that it would necessarily make keeping a membership kind of active with us through this process seem like a bad idea, because we also have a lot of members and they've been really supportive in keeping their memberships going to help us. And we have a membership model that kind of makes that easier with just a single float a month as the purchase. So we kind of settled on a price somewhere between that, like higher than our membership price and lower than our full price.
Yeah, and really, I mean, we even played around with the idea of lowering the price down to below the membership price. It's just always so dangerous anytime you're running a special and you think about lowering your price below where your members are paying. It just immediately means you're either going to have upset members or you need to figure out something else that's this whole other branch of what you're doing to appease them. So in the end, we did 25% off, which is not as much as some float centers out there, but still felt like a healthy discount that keeps it. Our membership price is at $54, and this put it at $57.75 for the price that we're paying, or that the people will be paying who are helping support us. So that was just the straight discount, 25% off, and then in addition to that,
yeah, we also just wanted to do something to try to help out ourselves, people are being really nice and trying to support us, because everybody knows everything is kind of crazy right now, and people are trying to support everybody, right? And we wanted to not only be the kind of beneficiaries of that, but also contribute in some way that we could. And as we brainstormed that, first we were thinking about just the idea of, if anyone buys a float, we'll throw a float ourselves into a pool that we'll give to people who are in need of it later. We just wanted some way of kind of being able to give back as well, because we knew that people were also struggling everywhere, right? It's not just businesses, it's every individual, and everyone is laid off, and everybody who's being impacted by this, which is, I guess, everyone but the toilet paper industry at this point. So the kind of idea started there, and when we tried to define what that was, who was in need and what sort of system we'd put in place or how people would apply, or all that stuff just sounded way too difficult, and we kind of from there brainstormed just the idea of giving it to the medical community, the people who are still out there working in hospitals and kind of on the front lines of all this.
Yeah, so if you even go to our Float On website, which is floathq.com, you can see an announcement for this deal that's just launched on the homepage there. And same if you go over to our Facebook page and look at the photos for Float On, you'll also see this nice image that we pretty much had just whipped up in a day thanks to our wonderful graphic designer and artist, Catherine Sullivan. And really it's the same messaging everywhere, which is kind of this three-pronged approach, right? It's, hey, get some discounted floats, save 25%, help out a small business, Float On. We're suffering right now. We had to lay off most of our staff. We're just trying to survive and weather this storm. And also help people on the front lines, help medical workers that are helping to fight COVID-19. And once we're back open, give some well-needed respite and relief to them. So that was kind of the three main prongs of this. And it really seemed to resonate. If you do go over to our Facebook page, which is /FloatHQ for the Float On Facebook page, you can really see the kind of outpouring from the community and people who are medical workers themselves and supporting us, and people who say, hey, we already loved you guys and this just shows why. So I really do think that this kind of model of buy one, give one, both gets people in the giving mood, and they really appreciate it too. It's like everyone's trying to not just survive, but to hopefully help out people around them who are doing even worse. And I think that just kind of illustrates that to our community.
And it's a good way. There's been a lot of conversation about how we can help with our float centers. People were very hesitant to shut down and still are trying not to shut down for that very reason, right? We know floating can help people, especially help people who are stressed out, and there's a lot of stress going around right now. And so it's nice to be able to still do that. It's on a delay, we can't do it right now, but when things kind of get back to some sense of normal and businesses can open up again, we'll be able to try to do our part and help people kind of recover who've had a very tough time. So, it feels good to be able to use the float tanks for kind of a nice purpose as well.
And I guess as we're talking about this, I also just wanted to go over some items from our actual launch list that we had here.
Yeah, and also you can use, this is, everybody can do it. We won't be offended if you also launch a deal similar to this. Absolutely feel free to kind of use this same sort of logic if you're trying to figure out something to do at your float center.
Yeah, definitely. And we're open sourcing that image that we've been using as well with the hands. So feel free to use that as well. Again, credit to the artist, Catherine Sullivan, is very much appreciated, but just in general, if you find that useful for your own operations, feel free to grab it down. We'll probably release it just on a little blog post for easy download on Float Tank Solutions website, along with this checklist also that we're going over here. So you can actually see our full checklist that we did to launch this buy one, give one deal at Float On, in case that's helpful to any of you. So just kind of like whipping through things here. The first step is creating just a discount code and making sure that everything's functional and trying it out, in this case for 25% off. We're actually going to cover how to do that really well in Helm during our next live stream on the Helm page. Little plug for our next show at 12:30. But we'll be talking about how to do things like get your links so that they auto-apply the discount code when you click them going over to the store. Just kind of making sure that everything goes smoothly and people don't accidentally miss the discount code. Because obviously with staff reduced or totally eliminated, any kind of customer support issues or anything that you mislaunch that raises a bunch of questions can kind of be very detrimental if there's not people right on top of answering them at your shop like usual. So getting the discount code set up like normal, really good. Getting that main image and just getting something that's visually attractive, I think helps a lot. Like I think part of the reason that our post got shared around so much this time was because we just had this beautiful image that was also attractive in addition to the deal that we're running. And then, just getting things ready for an email to go out to our mailing list.
Yeah, this is an interesting one to figure out exactly who we wanted to communicate with. So we were sending, we wanted to put this out there, and we used the kind of most obvious channels like our social media and putting something up on our actual website. But we also wanted to do an email blast. And so we decided to do it to our actual opt-in mailing list, which is, kind of definitely what we'd want to do. And we also decided to go a little bit further than that and send it to anyone who's floated with us in the last 6 months. Just because, those are people who are probably have us somewhat top of mind, and it won't feel kind of maybe like intrusive to get an email from us out of the blue. We didn't want to send it to like anyone who's ever floated with us, because that's a little bit crazy. It could be someone who floated like 9 years ago and doesn't even live here anymore. So that felt kind of like the right balance of how to get the word out.
Yeah, and then, it's always important when you're creating these this is just like little pro mailing list tip for any of you email junkies out there. But I think it's really important when you're creating these lists from scratch to honor previous unsubscribes. So kind of as the last step of adding all these lists together, the past 6 months, our members, our regular double opt-in list. We also went through our kind of big blast email lists and our double opt-in list, and just took all of those unsubscribes and then removed those from this new list as well, so we didn't accidentally send an email to people who had explicitly said they didn't want to hear from us. So again, little just nitpicky pro tip there. And it worked, despite kind of, blanket emailing the customers from the last 6 months. Out of, I think it was about 5,000, 6,000 people who we emailed, I think we got 20 unsubscribes, which is pretty good, So again, like the response seems to be really good for emailing people, even not on your double opt-in list. And again, people are just getting emails from businesses all over the place right now. And if any time you're going to be forgiven for maybe being a little more spammy just with who you're including in your messaging, now is a time when people seem very forgiving. So I wouldn't worry too much about that side of things.
We also sent an email to all of our members just to let them know what was going on. And again, because we kind of like didn't actively pause everyone's membership, one of the other things we did was we just counted all membership renewals towards this pool as well. So everybody who's had their kind of, we do a 1 float a month membership where you can buy additional floats, but everyone who's had that membership renew, we counted that as a purchase towards this buy one, give one, and we kind of added, and that was like 250, 275 floats like directly into the pool.
Which is great. It's a nice way to kick it off too. We're like, hey, we're starting by immediately seeding this pool with like 250 floats, and in addition, anything else that's purchased, any new membership renewals that happen between now and the end of the month, we're set. Let's just add those and build this pool even higher. And we announced it, so we announced this through the end of March, which is right now when we're scheduled to reopen. We closed Float On for about 2 weeks. To be honest, right now my guess is that we won't be able to reopen at the end of March. And if that's the case, then when April hits, we'll announce that we're extending this deal as well. Kind of the intention here is to run it throughout the duration that we're closed as Float On. And honestly, we found from donating these things in the past, the redemption rate on donated floats, especially to something like medical workers who are going to be really busy, is not the highest. So we're going to really try to get people using them. We're going to email them and follow up and encourage them to use them. But if one of the things you're worried about with a deal like this is generating too many free floats that you're going to have trouble cashing in when this is all over, honestly, maybe rethink about what your goal is when you reopen. Because for us, the goal is simply to fill our tanks, and get as many people in there. Like, I think it's going to be a challenge to get as many of these floats redeemed as we even want to have redeemed. But if you can open up and you're doing nothing, even but free floats, for 2 weeks after reopening or after just business starts getting back to normal, I'd consider that a huge success. Like, getting people used to coming back into float, getting them feeling comfortable, getting that word of mouth spreading again is going to be so important. So definitely don't treat this giant pool of free floats that you might build up with a program like this as being intimidating. Think of it way more as like this asset and something that's going to help you get momentum back once you do decide to reopen.
And same for selling floats at a discount. I mean, I also have the same hunch that like if there's a bunch of people buying floats and you're worried that they can't redeem them right now and that's going to be hard when you open back up, I kind of suspect that that's probably, even for people who paid for them, not exactly how it's going to go. Like, we're going to need to do kind of that slow roll of building momentum back up again when we're all on the other side of this. So at least on our side, we're not too concerned about selling or giving away too many floats.
Yeah, definitely. So just back to some to-do lists on here. Obviously updating your website and a few things, if you do have that main kind of banner image on your homepage, updating that. When you do create your discount code links, that hopefully auto-apply it. So when you click it and go to the store, you don't have to worry about user error. Changing all of your Book Now links on your website and your social media, if you have them there, to auto-apply that discount code will really help in this case. Again, just prevents customer service issues from going on. Same thing, like we had things that said Book Now on our website, right? And it turns out we're closed, and Booking Now is not what you can do. So changing those to like order online links, I think, is good. And just remembering, even on your website, to have a little thing that announces, hey, we're running this deal. This is also because we're closed, so that people don't accidentally buy floats and think they can book right away. So yeah, that's just some of the kind of big things for your homepage. I've also seen people who actually record a little video announcing why they're closed or announcing a deal. Stuff like that is great for social media content. We decided to spend our video time in robes talking to you instead, so we just did an image and kind of announcement on the homepage. But if you do have time to sit down with you, as the owner or with any of your co-founders, and also just do a video message that you can put up on your homepage or attach to one of these emails for the deal. Again, that human connection is really nice, and just kind of getting to see the human face of a business and have you be the one who's telling people about the program rather than just words on your website is definitely a nice touch. And
of course, your social media is the other place to kind of send stuff out to people. We did a few things in terms of what we actually boosted. We made a Facebook post and boosted a little bit to kind of have it go out there a little bit. There's just a lot of announcements happening in the world right now, but also people are very active online, which is helpful.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. There's some other just little tips. Facebook doesn't like words in their images. Instagram, we put a little more details of the deal and words actually in the images because Instagram posts want those words to be able to kind of show what's going on. But separate from that, that's really it. Getting that image, making the discount code, updating the website, sending out a mailer to our mailing list, plus 6 months of customers, sending out blasts on all of our social media. And we did that all pretty much within a 20-hour time span, between deciding to launch this thing and launching it. It's one of the weird things about stuff changing every single day is once you decide something, you need to be ready to move fast. And I guess one nice thing about not having an actual physical float center to maintain, hopefully, is that when you do have these marketing ideas or you come up with some way to help your business that's not physically in your float center, hopefully you do have a little bit of time buffer to be able to launch into those. So that's it. That's our kind of summary here.
Yeah.
And again, we'll be posting up some of these resources to use. Feel free to grab just verbiage if you are on a mailing list straight from that, or grab images straight from our Facebook page. Again, now of all times, we're not going to be offended. Just anything that we can be useful with, or if anything we've released seems useful to you, again, feel free to just steal it. No compunction. You're all good.
Yeah, and other people have been doing cool deals too. People have just been doing a buy one get one for their customers, or just a straight discount, or even not even doing a deal and just asking people to buy gift cards to help support them. And again, I think one of the kind of silver linings maybe of this situation is at least we've seen that we have this like incredible community of floaters that do love coming into float and do love trying to support us, and it's been really heartwarming actually just getting to even just see the kind words that people are sending in when we announced that we were closed and these sort of things, and knowing that those people will be there kind of to help us throughout this and be there on the other end of it with us as well.
Yeah, for sure. It is really amazing. I mean, things like our members just offered to donate some of their floats that they'd accumulated on their membership to medical workers when we distribute them, rather than keep it themselves. Other people just, even though I'm sure times are kind of tight financially for many people out there, we have other members and other people who are going on and buying 5 floats or buying 10 floats at a discount just because they know it'll help support us and give floats to medical workers. So, I guess this is true of difficult times whenever they're happening, is both stuff gets tough and also you get to see kind of the best in humanity come out, and it really has been just very touching to see the response from our community and from our floaters, both in supporting us and supporting other people just around Portland too.
So hopefully this will give you something to work on and try to improve things while you're at home, and hopefully that is something that you have time to do. I'm sure some of us are dealing with even more serious things than that. But for those of us that have the capacity, this is a good time to keep working on stuff, and we'll keep trying to post things up every day and share kind of what we're going through.
And this didn't work very well with the podcast, but if you do have any questions that you want covered, definitely write into us. We have a list of topics, we have a list of things that we've been doing at Float On to just kind of try and help our business on the back end. So we'll be going over a lot of those, but as always, definitely let us know if you have anything you want us to talk about during these weekdays. And same thing, even now, for any of you viewers watching live, if you have any questions for us, either related to what we were saying or completely unrelated to it, definitely type them in.
We do have one unrelated question.
Okay, nice.
Which is, what temp are you setting your tanks at during the shutdown? Which is an interesting question. We haven't really thought about it, I guess, is the short answer.
They're at the normal temperature.
We just left ours at the normal float temperature, but it's a good point. We probably could knock that temperature down a little bit, and we kind of left our whole center running environmentally as much as we could the way that it currently is. So we're still even heating the rooms so we don't get a bunch of condensation inside of the float tanks, and we're going in and running the filtration systems a couple times a day. We're even going in and cleaning the interior walls and stuff like that on a weekly basis, and running the water through the showers. We put out a checklist of stuff we're doing for ongoing maintenance in a blog post on Float Tank Solutions. But I can't think of a reason why we couldn't knock the temperatures down a little bit.
We're still allowing employee floats with kind of severe disinfection. We'll talk about that during another one of these episodes, is kind of the protocols for still allowing at least our employees to go in and float at the shop.
You hear a lot about, I don't know, I feel like a lot of manufacturers say things like, if your float tank is just sitting there idle, it uses the equivalent of a single light bulb's worth of energy. Or you know what I mean? It might just be that leaving them at temperature and not running the pumps and stuff like that is decently energy efficient.
Especially with a pod where you can keep the lid closed, or a cabin where you can shut the door. I would say open pools are almost maybe the most concerning for the temperature you keep it at, just because the others are able to maintain that internal temperature, and that'll help regulate the water temperature as well. It might save a little energy, but honestly, even as far as expenses go, the extra energy from not running your pumps is going to be so much more than a slight reduction in your lowering the temperature on your tanks.
And if you do, just remember to not go solo with it. You start getting salt crystallization.
Yes, this is the float limbo here. Keep it high.
We got a couple of more questions here. Can you use that image? Yeah, it looks like we replied to that as well. Definitely feel free to use that image of the holding hands. And then
let's see. Yeah, how are we giving the floats to medical workers? That's a good question. Yeah, we were just going to leave them in kind of unmarked packages at random points throughout the city and hope they find them. Just kind of seemed reasonable.
Slip them into X-ray forms. So I mean, we're tracking it all through the helm because we set up a discount code for these things to be sold. So by the end of this, all we have to do is just look at how many uses of that discount code
plus membership renewals
plus membership renewals happened, and that's how we'll have our total float count. So that part's pretty easy in terms of knowing the number. And then how we're actually distributing it is something we haven't really figured out yet, or it's just not something that I think we need to quite figure out yet.
Our plan very much, and we'll figure out the exact details, but pretty much to reach out to hospital administration and other healthcare administration and basically figure out what the best way to get floats to distribute among their staff.
There's about 4 main hospitals here in the Portland area, so we haven't researched who exactly to contact and that side of things, mostly because they're pretty busy right now. It didn't seem really wise to email them being like, hey, we're trying to set this whole thing up. So we kind of just figured that would be something that would be way easier and more logical to deal with on the other end of this.
And we've just found in the past too, trying to give the floats directly to workers or employees or distribute them at that one-off level is pretty challenging. And from other programs we've run, we've just found it's so much better to find someone in the administrative side and give out the floats for them to then hand out. And again, it does take a little follow-up, so make sure if you're doing this that you don't just hand them a stack of floats and then leave it at that, because maybe someone went on vacation and they're just sitting in a drawer somewhere. So really following up and making sure that the floats get distributed, writing a template email for them to send out to their staff, saying that they can claim a float, or if they run out even they can contact Float On and we'll figure something out. Stuff like that, and just kind of a little bit of nudging to make sure that they're really being distributed ends up being good. And I think that we might have to wind this down. So if you do have other questions, again, feel free to send them in. We'll just be checking them and talking about this tomorrow. And for right now, if you do want a little more Graham or Ashkan, tune in to the Float Helmbot page. And we'll be going live from there with just a little Helm tutorial on how to set up good discount codes.
Yeah, otherwise we'll be back at noon Pacific time again tomorrow. And good luck everybody. I know this is all probably one of the craziest things we've been through. So
yeah, stay healthy, stay safe, stay in bathrobes, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Have a good one.
Thanks.